It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a Monday. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing good.
All right.
Let's get entertaining just from the beginning, all right?
Okay. No need to wait on being entertaining.
Right, because this is one of my favorite things over the weekend, and it was Jen Psaki interviewing Doug Emhoff, the husband of Kamala, with this particular, I guess, statement here. Yeah. And this is where I actually put this on Twitter and said, I want to throw this one by Dad to see if he senses any BS. All right, so here we go. You ready for this one?
All right.
Let's just admit that Republicans and Democrats are treated the same by the media.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right.
Important part, an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny. I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me...
What the hell is she talking about?
What does that even mean?
You've reshaped the perception of masculinity.
They are. What I hear is you've proven that in order to be masculine, you don't have to be manly. I would have said, I'm sorry, what the hell does that question mean?
Or what I got was you're supportive of your wife. Therefore, you've reshaped the perception of masculinity. I'm telling you, this is how they are obsessed with identity politics. Apparently, they're watching too many of these sitcoms out there where the man is like, oh, duh, I don't know what's going on. Oh, the wife knows everything, but I'm just a dumb man. And she's saying, well, here's a guy who's supporting his wife. So he's reshaped the perception of masculinity, as we know so much that comes out of Hollywood, if you've seen a lot of these comedies, is the man is an idiot.
Uh-huh.
Who never supports his wife. And so here's a guy who supports his wife. You've reshaped the perception of masculinity. Shut up!
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. But the leftist media trying to do this with him and Tim Walz. This is the new masculine movement.
And no one is talking about that.
No.
No one.
No.
No one. The masses are not talking about it. The masses are not saying, well, doggone it, that Walz and Emhoff, doggone it, they're reshaping my perception of masculinity.
Well, because essentially what she's saying is it's okay to be submissive to your wife. Let your wife take the lead. Be a stay-at-home husband. Was that what they meant with Tim Walz? Because we didn't really know anything about his wife until later.
I don't. Well, Walz have been all over the place. We first came out with the gun and the camouflage and the hunter's hat, and it was like, Republicans are afraid when a Democrat shows testosterone masculinity. And a couple of weeks later, that was gone, and it was like, you represent a new form of masculinity. They said it to him, too. And
is that because they were about to introduce his wife, and she was about to start speaking, and everybody was about to learn who she was? So that's my point. Do they think, okay, both of these guys are clearly submissive husbands? Redefining masculinity. All right. Okay. Whatever, wherever you want to go with it, and to your point, who the hell even cares? Who is it you're trying to convince?
Right.
Is it women voters? Is it male voters? I don't know where they're going with it. It's weird. JD Vance is the weird one? That's what I'm supposed to get from the liberal media? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. And
the strange thing is, if you know anything about his history, I think it was back in August, he acknowledged he had an affair during his first marriage.
Yeah, that. I was going to say that became a thing, but it was only a thing for like a
day,
couple of days.
Yeah.
Wasn't really.
But
didn't go anywhere.
Is that the new form of masculinity?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Jen Psaki is such a lightweight. She's such a lightweight.
But we knew that would be the case. We knew that, with her going over to MSNBC, first of all, where else was she going to go? But, yeah, that's the kind of hard-hitting interview you want to do with the guy who could become the country's first man. What do you do? I'm the first man. First man at what?
And I really wanted to have that designation.
Yeah.
I could have.
Yeah. You mean like Neil Armstrong kind of first man? Nah, different kind of first man.
Hillary, you go do all that stuff. I'll stay at home and make sure the White House is,
Yeah. Yeah, no, if it were
okay.
Bill, if she had ever won, if Hillary had ever won, don't call me first man. I'm former president. And you're going to say it that way. Get that smirk off your face, Chris Wallace. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
They jump into things that just they really don't matter. Because it's part of identity politics. What they're saying is, because what they call toxic masculinity. By the way, I ate 2 steaks over the weekend. I must be the devil, according to the left media. But this whole thing of this toxic masculinity, why? What I wondered if, when Tim Walz came out he went full on Elmer Fudd, what I wondered is if the left, if their core was pushing back on that. Because all of the campaign hats changed to camouflage. By the way, bad marketing idea. If you're going to go with a color on presidential campaign hats, go with a color that's not designed to disappear. Camouflage is made for a reason. To blend in and disappear. You want to make it bright, like red, where people can see it. Gary, we have given them at least $1 trillion of marketing advice, and they can't get it done. The aforementioned price may or may not be the truth, and if any prosecutors or attorneys general in New York State are listening, I was not trying to do anything illegal according to New York law. Eric's manufacturer suggested retail price on the advice we gave them is $1 trillion.
Yeah, we'll get more into that. A lot of analysis on the mid appeals court in New York that is looking at that. Plus, we'll take a look at the campaign. Let me play this.
All right.
Dana Carvey on SNL as Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
All right.
Here we go.
All right.
Kamala, Maya Rudolph?
Mm-hmm.
She was
Maya Rudolph.
Maya Rudolph. She was Kamala, and introduces Biden. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Hey, listen up, everyone. We couldn't have gotten here without one man, and his name is Joe Biden. Get on out here, Joe Biden.
folks, that's right. A lot of people forget I'm president, including me. But guess what? And by the way, I think I did a pretty good job. I passed more bills than any president in history. But folks, we still got work to do, no joke. I'm being serious right now. Come on. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, the rich don't pay their fair share. They gotta pay their fair share. We gotta build back better. The build back the better, the better, the better, the better. Build back the better. Can't believe it's not butter.
Thank you, Biden. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you for putting country first and for handing over the reins.
I didn't want to. They made me. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, no joke. This is serious right now. This is serious. Anyway, in conclusion, me and Vice President Harris are the same.
Oh, okay. Ha ha. Great stuff. Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Goodbye, Joe.
Okay, right there at the end.
Yep. That was
Me and Vice President are the same, and then she shuts him down and moves him along.
And that's really, I wanted to get to that point because in the serious note, it's what's in pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is pop
and what
culture
are
talking
liberals
about?
laughing at?
Yeah.
Those are liberal writers in a very liberal New York City audience.
Yep.
There wasn't a bunch of MAGA hats sitting in that audience laughing at those jokes. It was very clear. And that punchline, the capper on it, the closer on it, was him trying to make the point that Kamala is just like him, and then she's got to shove him out of the way and move on. That right there was, I think, indicative of where the rank-and-file Democratic voter may be.
Well, it shows that when we say all the time, every Democrat listening right now knows, you know, for example, that Kamala Harris is lying. That's part of our evidence right there.
Right.
Right there. That's
right.
From a much more liberal audience, as we know for SNL, much more liberal writers. And the fact is they understand what the public knows is that she's lying about it. Oh, my God, going to the border and then the information of the number of, from the Biden administration, the number of criminals, illegal immigrants in the United States. Mm-hmm. She just completely and totally on the defensive. I have noticed this, though. It seems like every single mainstream media political activist, whether an NBC, ABC, or CBS, you put on a Republican, you can tell they're constantly trying to interrupt their answer.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
Same thing happened. I think it was Cotton was on, you know, over and over and over. And I have one of the most leading questions that was asked on the Sunday morning news shows coming up. What an insane weekend it was. Hezbollah, you know, the destruction, elimination of the leadership of Hezbollah.
Yeah, and the Iranian supreme leader now in hiding.
Yep.
With heavy security. Look, we've been saying it, and it's no great observation. Everybody knows it. Anybody who's paying attention, things in the Middle East are on the brink. But Iran, this is the thing with Iran and their supreme leader being in hiding. It's one of those, not that we needed Iran to admit it, but it's one of those, oh, yeah, okay, the world's also going to come after us, or our top supreme leader. I say the world, the Israelis and a handful of Americans, when it comes to public sentiment, it seems. And again, it's not that we needed Iran to admit that, but it was one of those, okay, yeah, we're a big part of it. And we know that. And we know we're a target.
Yeah. And what's one of the reasons why? Because the United States is ensuring that they get all of their oil money when Trump cut it off.
Yep.
One thing, though, is that what happened over the weekend and even the pagers, might stop a ground war from happening with Hezbollah. They don't have leadership. They've lost a ton of their, important people. They can't They can't use communications. The Israelis have scared the hell out of them if they're not dead.
Yeah,
The leadership.
Right.
How do you form a ground war if you can't communicate?
Right.
If you can't do it, if you've lost so much of your significant leadership, and anyone now, because this is a message you send, anyone now who takes over, you're dead too.
Yep.
You want to stop a ground war, that's how you do it.
Yeah, you're target number one. You're target number one. So, yeah, your communications is down. Morale is likely down. Recruiting is likely way down. And you can't fight back. It was a good move for Israel all the way across.
866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Did you know that up to half of all major engine failures are due to poor cooling system maintenance? That's a lot of downtime and can cost drivers big. You expect a lot from your engine, which is why the cooling system must be a part of your maintenance routine. Here's a tip to keep your cooling system in shape and your engine running smooth. Inspect your radiator, belts, and hoses for potential failures and deterioration, especially ahead of winter. Check the condition of your coolant to ensure it's at the optimum freeze point. Inadequate freeze protection levels can result in cracking of lines or passages. If you find insufficient freeze point levels or any wear and tear, have these issues repaired by technicians you can trust.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. What liberals really think, we'll get to the comment from John Kerry. You know, when we say that Democrats don't believe in the First Amendment, we like to give examples. We'll be giving one.
Yeah.
Did you see on Bill Maher, was the author Fran Lebowitz on there, said that we need to get rid of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
These people, I mean, you're just talking about these people. They're nuts. They're absolutely crazy.
Well, every time it's not working for us from the liberal standpoint, let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
The Senate, the Supreme Court, the Electoral College. And you know what? That annoying, pesky Constitution. We don't need a Constitution. That was written a long, long time ago. Come on. We've moved on. We have cell phones now. This is their mindset.
They don't need a Constitution. We have cell
We
phones.
have cell phones now.
I like that. Who needs a Constitution? I got my smartphone.
They wrote that on paper. Who even uses paper anymore?
I'm trying to connect the dots on that. I haven't been able to, but then again, that would be a leftist opinion, so you don't have to.
Well, it's because we have cell phones.
Sounds like something Biden would scream.
It's in handwriting. They wrote the handwriting. Not even a typewriter.
It's in cursive.
It's in cursive. Who uses cursive anymore?
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks for being here. You know what happens on a Monday? We're just so loaded up with audio cuts from the weekend. It's just like, well, why work?
Yeah. Why?
Why come in here and work? It's a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Sunday night, Monday morning. Why should we work? Let other people do our work for us.
Well, they seem to be doing it.
I hate to say it, but sometimes they are more entertaining than we are.
Yeah.
Now, this is Martha Raddatz and Tom Emmer, Republican Tom Emmer, on. And Martha asked him about Kamala and the border. Okay, here we go. By the way, listen to how she phrases the question.
Yeah.
We do ask her about that, but I want to say Mary Bruce just reported that Harris announced down there on the border several immigration policies she'd pursue as president, barring immigrants who illegally cross the border from re-entering the country for 5 years, enacting stricter criminal penalties for repeat offenders. Do you oppose those policies?
We all know what the question is.
Yeah.
Do you actually believe she believes
Yeah.
this and is going to do that?
Right. Yeah.
And I just love the way she did the loaded question. Do you oppose these policies?
I actually heard the shotgun noise.
Now, here's the response. Here we go. Okay.
I'm going to tell you, do we believe her now? After she's had almost 4 years to solve the border crisis, and all she did was make sure that it was wide open. She never even bothered to go to the border until just this past week. And that's because this is one of the #1 issues in the campaign. Everyone knows that when Donald Trump was in office, the border was sealed. Everyone knows that since Kamala Harris has been in office, the border has been wide open. And it's not just people who are migrants who are trying to come to this country for a better life. It's criminals. It's gang members. Everybody knows that. It's terrorists, people on the terrorist watch list. Martha, this is too little too late. Nobody can believe her because her actions have said something completely different for 4 years.
There you go. There's the answer.
Yep. Again, you can't control the questions. You only control what you say. And it's a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous question. It's also, again, the liberal activists here in the media that are putting up, trying to everything they can to present a better debate than she does. That's their goal. They're out there really debating for her. If you look at the Sunday morning news shows, that's what it is. If they have a Republican on, there's your presidential debates. This presidential election season, if you want debates, it's between the hosts of these Sunday morning news programs and the Republicans that they have on.
So here's the story that came out after she was at the border, and it seemed to come out right on that day. The head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement told a Texas border lawmaker this week that 435,000 undocumented migrants with criminal convictions have been released by the agencies to cities around the United States. The ICE deputy director sent a letter to Representative Tony Gonzalez of Texas saying as of July 21st, there were 662,566 non-citizens with criminal histories on the agency's non-detained docket, meaning they are not detained while they await immigration proceedings. Of those, 435,719 are convicted criminals, and 226,847 have pending criminal charges. The letter was sent after Gonzalez in March asked the Department of Homeland Security for data on migrants with criminal backgrounds. The data released by ICE is beyond disturbing, and it should be a wake-up call for the Biden-Harris administration and cities across the country that hide behind sanctuary policies. It's time for Washington to move past the rhetoric towards results. Americans deserve to feel safe in their own communities. On Friday, House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green of Tennessee called the new information shocking. It may be shocking to hear that the Biden-Harris administration is actively releasing tens of thousands of criminal illegal aliens into our community, but their own numbers conclusively prove this to be the case. This defies all common sense. According to ICE, 62,231 non-citizens with criminal convictions for assault currently are not detained by ICE and have been released. 42,913 have pending assault charges. The agency currently holds 2,348 non-citizens who have been convicted of assault and 1,400 who have pending charges. The agency also released 15,811 into the country who have been convicted of sexual assault. 56,533 non-citizens convicted of drug possession. 2,512 who have been convicted on kidnapping, according to the letter. ICE blames some of the releases on law enforcement in sanctuary cities not cooperating with ICE. Some jurisdictions have reduced their cooperation with ICE to include refusal to honor ICE detainer requests, even for non-citizens who have been convicted of serious felonies and pose an ongoing threat to public safety. Wow.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that sanctuary policy would result in this. I never saw it coming. Said nobody. Ever. Liberals know this. And when the immigration thing in all the blue cities, where every city, every town became a border town, people started taking note. The rank and file liberal who supports, by the way, voted for the people who created such insane policy. They also know how dangerous this is. Where's the outrage?
And finally, you're ready for the last number. More than 13,000 have been convicted of homicide, either in the United States or abroad, and they are living outside immigration and customs enforcement detention, according to data ICE provided to Congress earlier this week. 13,000.
Murderers.
Well, or, it's homicide, so that can go anywhere from negligent homicide to manslaughter to murder. Wow. Unbelievable.
That's exactly what you get.
Can anybody on the left justify this?
Well, again, where's the outrage?
None.
Where's the accountability for these individuals? What, do you expect them to show up to a court date? And if Trump wins, they are totally in the wind. I believe they're in the wind anyway, but why would you show up knowing there's a pretty good chance you're not going to be able to stay unless she wins?
On Friday, ICE revealed that it estimates that roughly 13,000 non-citizens convicted of homicide are running loose in the country, but only NBC found time to mention it on their Friday evening newscast. ABC and CBS, meanwhile, not only failed to cover it, but tried to spin the border situation as positive. This is from newsbusters.org. ABC White House correspondent Mary Bruce took the lead. She hyped her trip to the border. Tonight, Harris is promising if she's elected, she will add 1,500 more border agents, crack down on fentanyl smuggling, human trafficking, surge resources at the border. Much of this was included in the landmark bipartisan border security bill that Harris supported. So there you go. That's it right there. So they just refused to cover it. I don't think CNN probably refused to cover it. I wonder if MSNBC did. You can't.
I don't expect that they would cover it much. I could be wrong.
Yeah. How you cannot hide a story like that.
No, you can't. Well, you can until November 5th. Eventually it surfaces. How does this happen? I mean, that's exactly what was going on when Governor Abbott of Texas started giving them rides to any city they wanted to go to. They get off the bus, and everyone in those blue cities was going, how does this happen? How does this happen? How many times have we been in a situation where it's, oh, yeah, well, maybe we need to, yeah, maybe there was something to that. Yeah, maybe we need to review this. Maybe we know. It's everything. Look back in recent years. The lab leak theory. Oh, yeah, maybe there's something to that. For the longest time, it was, that's a conspiracy theory. Everybody knows it was wet markets.
I just love the Washington Post trying to downplay this, going, well, they're playing with these numbers a little bit because these 13,099 immigrants with murder convictions cited by Trump and his allies as are part of ICE's non-detained docket. By the way, Trump and his allies didn't say anything about it until ICE did. They're making it sound like Trump came out with the number.
Right, yeah.
That's a list of nearly 7 million people who have pending investigation cases before the agencies, but who are not jailed by ICE for various reasons, such as because they are currently incarcerated by federal, state, or local authorities, or because they have already served their criminal sentences but have not been deported. I don't care.
No, if you have that kind of history, why should you be allowed in our country?
Well, what you look at it is simply this way. Who's more likely to fix that, Trump or Harris?
Yeah, it's damn sure not Harris.
That's where you go.
Yep. Yeah, it's again, all these lessons that seem to sink in far too late. It's always after the election, isn't it? Hey, there's something going on with the laptop. Oh, yeah, we probably should have addressed that before the election.
It's funny because they say, some of these people came across during the Trump administration. Yeah, because Trump couldn't get rid of sanctuary cities.
Right. No, that's local. This is what the locals wanted. This is what they created. Remember Mayor Adams going to the courts saying, we want to undo the sanctuary city policy that my party created for New York City. He's the only one, by the way, that I know of any Democrat in any office that has done that. I haven't heard of any other Democrat on any local level doing that because there's no outrage. This has to do with these cities openly inviting people, illegals, to come to their city saying, we won't tell on you. In fact, we'll help you set up a life here.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
Red Eye Radio, he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I'll say this, liberals are now more willing to say what they actually believe, the insanity out there. John Kerry came out at the World Economic Forum last week and talked about the problems of the First Amendment. Oh, my God. Just amazing.
Yeah, right.
And on Bill Maher show, the author, Fran Lebowitz, said that Biden should dissolve the Supreme Court. Well, number one, he can't dissolve the Supreme Court, but I'm telling you, for the the ignorance, I mean, the idiocy of the left. Every single day I come in, I go, I can't believe they've gone there.
Well, they're desperate, again, to control language, the whole First Amendment thing. They thought they had really started to gain control, or at least started to rally public sentiment by gaining control of social media, which they had control of social media for a while until Elon Musk came along.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, Eric, I was, when I woke up and saw that Chris Christopherson had died and JD Souther last week.
Yeah.
And you think about it, I mean, how much money did those guys make on songwriting? I mean, that's where a lot of cash is, isn't it, in songwriting?
It really is, especially back in the day when people were paying for music. But if you retain the royalties, if you retain the rights, the publishing rights to your songs, that's a big deal. Having worked with songwriter Bill Maher, a Grammy Award winner, on in the older version of this show at WBAP starting back in '96. It's one of the first things that he talked to me about in terms of songwriting, and that was, if you retain the rights, the publishing rights, but even then, when you don't, you still get royalties from being a writer of the song. Bill, I know, retained the rights to some of his songs, but the money was so huge, again, when people were paying for it, but you also had to pay a lot if you wanted to use any of the songs in a commercial. If it was ever performed on network television, I know some guys that were that actually wrote the theme song to a Nickelodeon cartoon, and boom. These guys weren't the biggest rock stars, although I think their band was great, but they wrote the theme song for Phineas and Ferb. And they're a Texas band, and they're great guys, but it was a massive moneymaker for them. You look at someone, you look at JD Souther, you look at Chris Christopherson, you look at, if you've won a Grammy, that was one of the things I remember, because I was with Bill when he won the Grammy. I mean, I was working with him. Everything was just taking off. He wrote the song. For those that don't know, he wrote the song "Blue" that was sung by Leanne Rimes, and he won the Songwriters Grammy. She won the Performance Grammy on that song. But he had so many songs over the years, "Drinking Champagne," and so many great songs, that he wrote, that he was a part of. So I kind of got an up-close look at how that changes a career when you win a Grammy. 3 Grammys for Chris Christopherson, but really, Chris Christopherson was one of those songwriters where, okay, that's only a few Grammys for him, but man, the list of songs that are legendary, the fans decide on those, on those songs, what becomes legendary. They stick around, but it's being able to convey something in a way that really nobody else can.
The only role I remember, he was in some westerns, but the only role that I remember was him with Barbra Streisand. A Star Is Born.
Yeah,
and it was a huge movie. I don't know. I'm going to guess, was it as big as Gaga when she did it?
I think it was a lot bigger, I think.
Yeah, it was massive. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
I remember if I went to see it,
Yeah.
And it was like, at the end, I went, oh, okay, I'm all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys in rock and roll.
Right.
Overindulges, I mean, even back then it was like, all right, this is passe. But when you look at, the number of songs he wrote, but even, J.D. Souther, when you think of all the Eagles songs that you would assume was written by one of the Eagles, and it wasn't. Best of My Love, Heartache Tonight, Getting Down, Long Road Out of Eden, How Long, You're Only Lonely. I mean, he wrote a ton of different, you think about it. That in itself is all you need to write your whole life, right?
Yeah, I mean,
if you were publishing.
Right. Again, it's back when people paid for music. One of the things that's going on right now is that while the streamers like Spotify, you actually get some royalties, but it's next to nothing. And if you look at a lot of songs, there are credits that go to the songs because like a producer will step in and say, okay, guys, we need to change this up or whatever, and they'll help the band or help the artist write a song. Well, they get a writer's credit for that. And so then you're splitting it between multiple people, and you end up getting your royalties, end up getting, maybe from Spotify $100 a year, But back in the day, you had to purchase that music over and over again. One of the things that happened too, and I remember the guys in Steely Dan talking about this, because when CDs came about, we went through cassettes and 8-tracks and that kind of thing, but really what changed it is everybody had to go out because CDs were different. The sound was different, and at first it was believed it was a great way to preserve the music, basically because vinyl would break down, tape would certainly break down, and CDs wouldn't break down, even though we learned that they weren't, you could scratch them and you could harm them. But the guys in Steely Dan actually talked about one time, someone had asked them, well, what's it like? You don't, if you're not putting albums out all the time, well, all of a sudden everything comes along on CD and your catalog gets sold all over again, because your true fans that bought everything on vinyl, they were still paying for music when in the 80s CDs came around. One of the things that happened with, in fact, publishing rights is when Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog. And it was advice that he got from Paul McCartney while they were filming the Say, Say, Say video. Because Michael Jackson was saying, look, my dad no longer controls my money. What should I do with my money? And he said, invest. Paul McCartney told him, invest in music publishing. And so Paul McCartney, I don't know, it was several months later, a few months later, he gets a call and he says, and his agent says, congratulations. He said, what? He said, the Beatles catalog sold. He said, well, who bought it? He said, Michael Jackson. And so when
all right, how could that sell without Paul McCartney's approval?
Well, no, it was up for sale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was,
it was up for sale.
And it is a business agreement. I mean, you have multiple partners in that, and it's a business agreement. And so, they have to come to terms whether or not that's going to be, on the market. Well, right as that's happening, then all of the Beatles catalog sold again on CD. And the wealth for Michael Jackson, well, some say he wasn't the best at handling his money. That wealth, was catapulted into the stratosphere because of things like that. And you see that, you look at someone like Jonathan Cain from Journey. And Jonathan Cain came into the band and he replaced Greg Raleigh, who was great. But Jonathan Cain wrote so many of those songs along with Neil Schon that just became huge. Don't Stop Believing, they say, it's the most popular song or something. But then you look at the Police, Every Breath You Take. It's got, I don't know how many billions, I think it's 4 billion plays on Spotify.
Is it really? Wow.
And Andy Summers is saying that means my guitar riff is likely the most heard guitar riff ever. If you look at being the most played on streaming, and those royalties, go on and on and on, and the music lives on and on and on. And anyone in Hollywood will tell you, if you want to use a song in a TV show or in a movie, it's going to cost you. And for that reason, they're very selective in what they do. If you hear the song in its original form in a movie, know that there were multiple meetings about it and as to why it should be used. It had to have a purpose, a real purpose, and do something for the movie, because it was going to be enormously expensive for them to put that song in the movie.
You know, the interesting thing is, remember Louie Louie by the Kingsmen?
Mm-hmm.
And it was played in Animal House?
Yeah.
I actually interviewed, when I worked at our great affiliate, KXL, I can't remember the guy's name, but the Kingsmen were from Portland.
Mm.
And I remember somebody taking me by and go, there's where Louie Louie was produced.
Right.
You know how much they got from Animal House? Zero. They never gave permission. They had no idea that it was being done.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was like back in, was that 78?
Right.
Was that done?
Right.
79?
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, how much money did you make off that? He goes, none. We didn't get approved or anything. That shocked me.
Yeah. Well, Alan Parsons was talking in an interview recently about the one song, song that's played at like a ton of sports events. And he was asked, well, how much do you guys make off of that? And it's nothing if they don't air it on TV. It can be playing in the arena while the game is on TV, but if it's not the network playing it, then he doesn't see anything in royalties. I mean, you do have to pay royalties if you're a venue.
You got to pay ASCAP BMI.
But but it's nothing like what the TV royalties would be. It would be almost nothing by the time it gets back to Alan Parsons, is the point.
What song is being played from Alan Parsons?
Oh, it's that intro. Is it the intro to games people play? I'll find it here in a second. But it's a really good tone setter.
Oh, okay.
That where it's usually during a anecdotal evidence, but my observation, it's usually during a timeout. Like during a basketball game, they'll just and it'll just be, and it's a tone setter.
Well, my favorite, and it's not Queen. My favorite is what the NHL plays.
Yeah,
Raise a Little Hell by Trooper. Because that just starts out, raise a little hell, and the audience just goes, what the hell's this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They play that all over the NHL. I mean, they're a Canadian band, so, I mean, they're probably the influence with the NHL that way. But that tune is played at, I don't care what arena it is, and you can hear it in the background. You're like, are they saying raise a little hell?
Sirius is the name of the song by Alan Parsons,
okay.
And it's best known. It was in fact, the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
Used it to introduce, when they were introducing their starting lineup.
Well, to be clear, was it Alan Parsons or the Alan Parsons Project?
Yeah, it's Alan Parsons Project. Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
We always got a kick out of that. Okay, you're not playing music. This is a project.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then what the hell is everybody else doing over there?
Right. He's got a hammer and nails in the corner. Yeah. And, but as a producer and engineer, sound engineer, Alan Parsons with, Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
He did
a ton of stuff.
And, but the one thing you get when you get down to the bare basics of an emotion in a song, Chris Christopherson was the one that could put those words together and make you go, oh, man.
Well, you know what you don't have in music today?
Yeah.
Storytellers.
Yeah. Right.
Not saying that they don't exist,
right,
but they don't rise to the popularity that storytelling in music was in the 60s and 70s especially.
Right.
And I've noticed that when I listen to the oldies or the classic rock, and you're like, wow, there's a story here. There's a story here.
Right.
And we're talking about things that were massive hits and more acoustic back then that became massive number one hits.
Like the aforementioned Every Breath You Take. That's a story clearly of a stalker.
Yeah, it's good.
You'll be watching me win? What? I'm sorry, what? But no, I mean, that's it. And it's a story, and he could convey the heartbreak. Not the best vocalist.
No.
But Chris Christopherson, in those words, with his voice, it's like Johnny Cash, basically commandeering Nine Inch Nails' Hurt. Well, you felt pain. Everybody stop what you're doing, because this is one of those. It's like, honestly, it felt like somebody speaking at a funeral. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You have to listen to this person because they're clearly in pain.
Yeah, it's definitely not a party tune.
No, it isn't.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Leased owner-operators should be aware of 4 common revenue myths, lest you fall into the trap of mistaking revenue for profit. Myth 1, concentrate on increasing revenue because costs will take care of themselves. This is not true, as costs are fundamental to the profit equation and the area where owners exert the most control to improve. Myth 2, more revenue per mile is the answer to all problems. Though carrier pay packages differ in structure, revenue per mile really doesn't change much from company to company. But there can be a big difference in miles, overall gross revenue, reimbursements, and fees. Myth 3, all you have to do to be successful is run a lot of miles. In reality, revenue is only half of the profit equation. Costs are the other half. It's possible to generate a lot of revenue, yet spend $1.10 to make every dollar. Myth 4, you can tell how well you're doing by the size of your settlement check. The settlement check is only a part of the success picture. Miles driven, loads hauled, conditions, mechanical problems, time off, and especially costs all have to be considered. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, let's start out with the insanity of the left, all right?
All right.
This is on Bill Maher, and on Friday, this is author and nutcase Fran Lebowitz on the Supreme Court, okay? Here we go.
You know, the Democrats had, elected people. The Supreme Court is completely his. You know, I mean, it's so disgraceful, this court, that it shouldn't even be allowed to be called the Supreme Court. You know, I mean... It's an insult to Motown to call it the Supreme Court. So it's not even a court. It's only a court in the sense that the court of Louis XVI was a court. You know, I mean, basically, it's a harem, okay? It's a harem. It's Trump's harem. So I always feel sorry for the 3 real judges on the court. You know, I know a lot of people have jobs, not me, not you, and you have to go to work every day, and there are people you don't like at work. But can you imagine having to go to work every day? Alito? You have to go to work with Alito, with Kavanaugh? You know, I mean, it must be horrible. So what Biden should do, not that you asked, but when they passed that law, the Supreme Court passed that ruling, you know, where they said, you're not the president, you're the king, which is what that ruling is. You can do whatever you want. You can never be, you know, held responsible. I thought, you know, Biden's still the president. No one seems to notice. But... Biden should dissolve the Supreme Court.
Dissolve the Supreme Court?
I'm the president. I'm the king now, like you said, and go home.
Okay. Good to see you're centrist.
Yeah. He went, did you hear when he goes, come on.
Yeah.
This is where he should say, look, you're an idiot. I mean, talk about completely clueless. Do you notice how nobody will get specific on the left when they say that there's a problem with the Supreme Court. They say we don't like the ruling, but they'll never say what's the law. Let's break down what the law is and why the Supreme Court did what they did.
And go after the people. Could you imagine having to go to work with them? Could you imagine having to work with these people?
Can't explain her opinion.
No. There was no legal analysis whatsoever
None.
there. None.
Absolutely none.
No, weak.
Yep.
Completely weak.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. So, Fran Lebowitz on the author Nutcase on with Bill Maher.
Yeah.
And talking about that Biden should just dissolve the Supreme Court. Completely clueless. And I will say this, now, after the Dodd's decision, I've mentioned this before, I had a conversation with over 5 different pro-choice women that just came up organically. I wasn't looking to have a debate or argument on it. I was out different places, and, it was somebody would say to somebody else, he's a conservative talk show host, and boom, I got hit. And as I mentioned that story before, every one of them thought it was a travesty, and I walked every one of them through it. And after the end, they were like, oh, okay. I see your point. And it was easy because each one of them, I said, well, then you believe in abortion till birth. And every one of them said, well, no. I said, well, you just told me that an abortion is about your own body, but it's not. And so at that point, everything went downhill in the argument. They had nowhere to go. And I said, nobody talks about on the left ever what the debate is, what the legal debate is about abortion. And it's when life begins.
Yeah.
And most people believe, the majority believes, that it begins sometime in the womb, which is why the majority of people are against abortion right up till birth.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's where does life begin? In the Supreme Court, the current Supreme Court simply said the last Supreme Court basically defined life, and they don't get to do that. That's something that the public has to work out. It's the most Democrat argument that you could give, and it sends liberals like Lebowitz into a total insane conniption that the Supreme Court should be dissolved and just gone away, that the 3 branches of government don't count. This is where we say when the left does not believe in the Constitution of the United States. I know you've got Harris out there saying it all the time against Trump, but you can't make that one stick.
Right.
This is owned. The people who want the current Constitution gone is the left. And you saw it right there. Now, here's another example. John Kerry, speaking at the World Economic Forum here recently about freedom of speech. Listen to this. Here we go.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact have kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go, and people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways. And
so
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing.
Oh, my God. Every totalitarian in world history has said that.
This is what you just heard. We'll translate. We used to be able to control language in part by building that consensus on social media. And now that Elon Musk bought X and people can speak freely without being punished or removed from social media, we no longer have that. You heard him say building a consensus. What you need to do is you need to control the language to build that consensus. You get everybody using the same language so that after a period of time, it just becomes almost blasphemous to say it when you change the meaning of words. So then these new words start shaping how everybody talks, and then someone speaks up with some dissent, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we have a bigot over here. We must weed them out.
Well,
all of that starts and ends with controlling the language. We can't control the language. We need to be able to bring about change by having enough power to put people in jail for saying things we disagree with.
I'll tell you what else it says, and I think the bigger picture, because you talked about over 50 years. Over the last 50 years, liberals have basically misled people, especially economically, on economics, and said if you do it our way, it will work. And so they have been able to get the public to agree to put us into the fiscal situation we are now with the debt. They wish to continue that. Now there are sources and other people out there. Now, you could do that when you had the 3 networks and your local newspapers, and that was it. Now that you have the internet, now that you have X, where the community actually fact checks you, they don't like that because now it's harder to get a consensus based on BS. We used to be able to BS you and get a consensus. We can't anymore because what happened was, number one, reality hit on economics. We don't have the money to spend anymore, and the debt is killing us. Plus, now you've got opposition in the media. But the thing is, he, being the climate czar, or is he still? I think he's not the climate czar anymore, of an administration that is a bunch of pathological liars. We have seen, I would say that out of any entity in the United States right now, any entity you could pick, a corporation, a state government, whatever you want to do, a TV network, whatever, that the most lies and misinformation come from the federal government under the Biden-Harris administration. More misinformation comes there. Well, they want to protect that.
Yeah,
that's what he wants to protect. And the First Amendment stands in the way, as if that the constitutional republic that we have was set up for expediency, to get things done and have government move as quickly as possible with whatever one particular party wishes to get done.
Well, that's it. Because they believed that they had won forever when Barack Obama became president. Then with the advent of social media, where they were able to control the language, they were able to control it at every turn. That this is part of that consensus building he's talking about. We have to make it normal to speak the way we speak, so that when someone doesn't, they're carved out as a pariah. And we can go after them And we have built a consensus that allows us to do that. We want to be able to punish speech.
Yep. And that's exclusively coming from the Democrats.
You heard it from Hillary Clinton. The queen of misinformation wants you to believe that people should go to jail for misinformation. Not her kind of misinformation, the kind of misinformation that she disagrees with.
And understand, these aren't viewed as radical far leftists. These are viewed as the old guard of the more conservative Democratic Party to the radical left.
Mm-hmm.
And they're advocating that getting rid of the First Amendment in the way that it exists today, and Hillary Clinton jailing people for misinformation. Not defamation of character, but just misinformation where, again, she was the creator of one of the biggest propaganda misinformation political dirty tricks in the history of the world with the Russia hoax collusion.
Yeah.
Where she paid for, through campaign dollars that people gave to her campaign, she paid it to create a dossier that was full of lies that were made up, then legitimized, attempted to be legitimized through was legitimized for a while through Democrats and even some Republicans. Remember, McCain got a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
McCain was part of the propaganda at that point, and used that for 3 years to help destroy a presidential administration, trying to convince the American public that this information existed. It was legit. It came from the Russians. And so this guy's a traitor and needs to be booted out. And the information came from Hillary Clinton, and they made it up. They lied about it.
Yep.
Just amazing. I mean, you shake your head. I don't know how these people think, Eric. I really don't. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. They're so crazy right now on every single issue. They're just absolutely nuts. I don't know how they even get 40% of the vote or 30% of the vote.
What's interesting is that they have all of these old school liberals that are pushing this, we really have to go after the First Amendment thing. Think about that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what you hear from just the two liberals we played today, and they're both old school liberals. You know, this, by the way, that notion that the president is the king, that's not what the court said.
No, it's not at all.
On immunity, that's not what that means, which shows how weak you are. You're either a moron or a liar. I'll let you tell me which one.
Well, in the case of Fran Lebowitz, she's sort of clueless. But
yeah. Yeah.
You ever see some of the articles where she talks about how she's always angry and always full of rage?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow.
No, I believe that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, you're angry. Ignorance will do that to you. It's frustrating.
So it's not always bliss?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's probably maddening if you're a liberal.
866-98-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, in my bike riding, I did see within probably 20 blocks of my house, I saw two Harris wall signs.
Haven't seen one yet.
Yes. I have not seen one Trump.
Oh, man, the Trump signs are everywhere in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Now I live in a Democrat precinct. I've talked
yeah,
about
no,
this before.
I'm in Dallas County, and it's my precinct is the last solid red one. But there are Trump signs. I'm trying to think here. Trying to draw the precinct line in my head. But outside of that precinct, there are still Trump signs I've seen. I don't know. It's maybe only a handful. But I started seeing those a couple of months ago. I still haven't seen a Harris sign.
Yeah, it just appeared in the last couple of days because I ride almost the same route when I do my 20-mile bike ride. Wow. But
I haven't seen, and I live adjacent to Colin Allred's district. For those that don't know, he's running for Senate against Ted Cruz. And I was going to make it a point this past weekend to go see if I saw any Colin Allred signs.
I saw
out.
none.
I haven't seen any in my neighborhood, but I wanted to go over into his district and see how many were out there. Because if you look at the polls in the liberal media, it's neck and neck in Texas. No, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, neither do I.
And
I still think it's too close where they have. Last one I saw Trump up by 5 in Texas. I don't believe it.
Right. Now, Colin Allred has beat a Republican. In fact, that's how he got his seat. He beat Pete Sessions in that district. But you're going to see demographics that change, especially in major metro areas. Those demographics shift, and so the district changed. But in terms of a statewide election for the U.S. Senate, I don't believe that Colin Allred and Ted Cruz in Texas are neck and neck.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. As always, you want to hear some from Tom Cotton, who was on the Sunday Morning News Show?
Sure.
Right here he is. I believe this is Face the Nation. Here we go.
Well, I think they deserve to hear a lot more from Kamala Harris because she's been lying to them for the last 3 months. If you look at her record, she's been trying to run away from it from the very moment she took the nomination from Joe Biden. She wants to ban gas-powered cars. She wants to give reparations based on race. She wants to ban fracking. She wants to take away private health insurance on the job. These are not positions that she took as a teenager in high school. These are positions she took as a 54-year-old woman running for president in her own right. That's the true Kamala Harris, a weak, dangerous San Francisco liberal. Kamala Harris is the one who owes the American people a lot more answers. Donald Trump can simply point at his record and say, for 4 years when I was president, we had peace, prosperity, a secure border, and we were respected around the world. That's what the American people remember. That's what they're going to get when they elect him again to the White House.
That was on Face the Nation. Here he is continuing on Face the Nation about Iran.
Well, from the minute Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got to the White House, there's been threats to Americans. Iran and its proxies have attacked our troops over 100 times, and we've barely ever struck back. There's been continued attacks on us. Again, just like we should support Israel in striking back against these terrorists, we should be striking back harder again. But that's not Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's policy. From the very beginning, they've appeased and conciliated the Ayatollahs. Kamala Harris, for instance, opposed Donald Trump's strike that killed Iran's terrorist mastermind in 2020. Over the last 4 years, they've given away tens of billions of dollars in sanctions relief. They've looked the other way as Iran violates sanctions. They've continually put more pressure on Israel than they put on Iran's terrorist proxy. That's why Kamala Harris is the Ayatollah's hand-picked candidate, and why the Ayatollahs are hacking into Donald Trump's campaign and trying to kill him.
Not really holding back much.
It's straight to the point.
Like, wow.
And it's exactly the way it should be. It's, again, a stark contrast as to what you see from the surrogates for Kamala Harris. They're out there desperately trying to defend her in ways that she's not defending herself. They're making up their own debate as to why, their own debate point as to why she's doing what she's doing, including the liberal activists that host these news programs. They don't know where to go because she's not giving them anything. She's all over the place. You know, you're going to have Kristen Welker come out and go, well, we should build a wall. And Kamala Harris wants to build a wall. No, they know they can't defend her lies, and the lies being taking the positions that Donald Trump has held all along. Suddenly, over the last few months, you're going to get the liberal media to go out and march in that parade? No. Because they know she's lying, and they're not pro-fracking. They're not pro-secure border. They're not pro-Israel.
Yeah, every Democrat, we've always said this because we know it to be true. Every Democrat understands that on all the major positions, she's lying.
Yep.
She's not pro-fracking, as you said. She's not pro-secure border. She's not for tough police enforcement. We all know that's not true. She's not for not enabling Iran by allowing them to have access to their oil money when Trump stopped it. She's not anti-Iran. She's not pro-Israel. She's not, again, when you mention the two-state solution in this debate here, that's how I know you're an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
That's
right.
how you and I have said this. Because you said it day one. You said it on October 8th. And by the way, wait for the there's two things that Democrats have to worry about right now. First is the longshoremen's, the port workers.
Yeah.
Strike coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And if that hits, that could affect a ton of stuff. Christmas stuff could skyrocket in price.
We were here last year, actually over the last couple of years. When you talk about port strikes, it's why so many shippers had to change to different ports. They went, the L.A. port thing has been going on for a while, and they had to go to Texas, Savannah, Georgia, New York, in order to stock shelves in time for the Christmas shopping season. And, yeah, if you're going to do a strike, do it when it's going to hurt the most.
There's longshoremen's union's demand for total ban on any new automation questioned as port strike looms. On Sunday, they said it's 85,000 members, along with tens of thousands of dock workers around the world, will hit the picket lines Tuesday and strike all Atlantic and Gulf Coast ports from Maine to Texas. The union is demanding higher wages and a total ban on automation at ports regarding cranes, grates, and moving containers in the loading and unloading of freight. This is from Fox News. Benchmark Capital's Bill Gurley reacted on social media to the union's demands, writing that the federal government should step in. Biden's not going to step in.
No.
If the union seeks a total ban on automation, outlawing the effective use of technology will unquestionably doom our nation. We will become globally uncompetitive. Well, that's their goal.
Yeah.
The left's goal. White House confirmed that the administration officials have met with both parties and urged them to keep negotiating. Is that the union's now new thing? No automation at all? You're not going to be able to do it.
You're not going to. This is something that SAG during that time when, Hollywood was on strike, they wanted basically they wanted to control how much AI was going to be in the mix. I understand this, that if they're coming in and they're using your image or likeness or something like that in terms of the Hollywood thing, then there should be, look, you should have a right to that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they shouldn't be able to do that. There's been a number of allegations there. But then you go to the other side of it and you look at CGI. CGI has been around for a long, long time. It was really perfected with Jurassic Park and Spielberg, and how they went in, and some of the first renderings that they had for Jurassic Park, the Jurassic Park movie, were garbage, and they went in and redid the whole thing. And so CGI kind of built that. That was, then we look at the Google thing, right? The Google was like, whoa, why are we getting laid off? Why are we getting, well, you guys, if you look at what a search engine is and online AI, right? When you go and you ask any of the online AI, websites or apps to do something, and how that basically gathers what is out there based on, all of it. Google does it. They all do it. Well, you probably should have seen that coming. With ports, with automation, with mechanical automation, and the increased demand, and also the low number of people that want to get into that kind of work. But if you look at what it takes, how long it takes to offload a ship, if you look at, things like, fully automated big rigs, I'm convinced the biggest use of that will be in shuffling around things at port levels and in short distance, although there are fully automated rigs on the road right now. They do have operators, humans are on board. But you're not going to put that toothpaste back in the tube. It's going to happen. With or without the unions, it's going to happen. I wouldn't want to be looking at that going, okay, great. But as someone who's done voiceover, going back almost 40 years, really. And aside from radio voiceover, it's amazing to hear the AI voiceover stuff they do that sound perfectly human. And it's sad to see, but that's kind of the way things are going. And so automation in the ports is a given. I don't know if you're a union, what you put into play to say you can't have this automate. You can do temporary things, but it's on its way, and there's no way to stop it.
Well, that's the one thing they have, because if prices start going up because things aren't available, so prices will go up. The last thing Biden wants walking into this. I wouldn't be surprised if he probably could call a temporary cooling period. He might do that. I don't know if he can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what the jurisdiction is of the federal government over port workers, but we'll see what happens in that. The other one is October 7th, because that's coming up, and you already see that these groups, especially after what Israel has accomplished in the last couple of weeks, and then the killing of so much of the Hezbollah leadership, you may return to some of these massive protests at college campuses. And will Democrats still try to play this game of a two-state solution? The stupid game of a two-state solution.
Yeah. No, it's look, we are on the brink, and it's been that way for a while. But there is, again, and I fully expect there's going to be the protests, possibly violent protests during that week here, in starting in just a few days. I don't know what's going to happen in the Middle East. It seems that it's just building and building and building. And with Iran's supreme leader now in hiding and under heavy guard, they believe the same.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, let me play this audio. So much audio. By the time you come in on a Monday, it's like, wow. It's this is Martha Raddatz now with Jonathan Martin from Politico. Okay, they're all liberals, okay? Yeah. Just listen how this goes, and then listen. You can hear Martha Raddatz. I mean, you can see her veins are getting ready to burst. But watch the statement that she makes at the end. Like, can you believe the Republicans are doing this?
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, here we go.
Why are they doing that? Why are they keeping them kind of locked up in terms of dealing with the press on a daily basis?
I think part of the reason why the Harris campaign is so eager for a second debate is because they know it's a good format for her, and candidly because they know the interviews are not a great format for her, and that when she is prepped, when she is going through her motions, like with the convention speech, like with the debate, that she can really perform well. She's just not as effective on TV, and they recognize that. I think that's the entirety of the strategy.
And yet they've got the Trump campaign saying, like, using that against the Democrats.
Absolutely.
But why would Trump use that against his opponent?
And they're actually using that against her.
What is happening? Why? Seriously?
I can't handle it anymore. I will handle it. What is happening? And her voice went way up here.
Why is my neighbor out in his yard using a mower to make his grass shorter? Why is this happening?
Now remember, Jonathan Martin is from Politico, as liberal as you can get. And let me just say this: what he failed to. Now, granted, they believe she does better in the debates than in any other setting, but that didn't come to fruition from the polling. No. The reason she wants a debate is because she believes she needs another shot, because I saw Representative Slocum, whatever, from Michigan, saying she's she's a Democrat. She's underwater in Michigan.
Right.
And they're starting to get a little bit, nervous. But Martha Raddatz, and yet the Trump campaign's using it against.
Well, why is they're using that against her? All of the bad things about her, they're using that.
They're using it against the fact that she won't do a press conference and actually have reporters ask her a question and then a follow-up. And how dare the Trump campaign use that against her?
Why can't they pretend that it's normal?
Right. Why don't they credit her by saying, well, we credit her because she's speaking, what was the excuse? Oh, directly to the people instead of going to the reporters, because we don't trust the media.
Her feet wears camouflage. What aren't they doing right? Oh my gosh.
And it's really amazing because over the weekend a couple times I was like, God, it's like the Babylon Bee. It really is. It's like, and they're being serious.
Yeah,
that's the thing. She's being serious.
Yeah.
She wanted to be indignant, and how dare she won't do press conferences. She won't take questions. How dare the Republicans criticize her for that?
Yeah, right. Why are they using all of her negatives against her? And why do we keep, as liberal activists in these newsrooms, why do we keep repeating her negatives?
as they did. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
There was more.
Uh-huh.
This is on the border where even Martha, I don't think, could really spin this successfully. Here we go.
The border. And the border is his issue. Right. The border, you can look at those statistics, and yes, right now things are improving. But when you look and you compare those records, that is something Donald Trump can really drill down on.
Oh, absolutely. They have been nonstop. And that was the whole reason that Vice President Harris went out to the border this past week, because they felt that they needed the optics of her just walking around the border with Border Patrol to show that she's paying attention to it, but also the fact that they need to now counter this message to show, yes, we recognize that this is a crisis and we are trying to address it. Trump, of course, calling her the border czar, kind of attaching the crisis to her in particular because President Biden empowered her to handle it, to take charge of it. And that is something that has been a major vulnerability for Democrats and continues to be, regardless of Vice President Harris's attempts to then get ahead of the message and show that Democrats can be tough on immigration while still also adhering to the law.
What?
Yeah.
Adhering to the law, the last one, I don't know where that came from. I'm like,
Yeah, I really believe it'll help, just to go down to the border and walk around with, some of those Border Patrol agents. Is that what they call them?
I expected Martha to cut it. Why would they be criticizing her on this?
Why is it so important? Why are Americans concerned about the economy and the border?
We don't need those stinking walls.
Why?
Are our voices irritating enough?
I'm irritating me.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Here's Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania over the weekend.
Harris can never be forgiven for erasing our border, and she must never be allowed to become president of the United States. She'll destroy. She's a radical left lunatic. And one of the reasons I'm angry, yesterday she made a speech like everything on the border is good, and she's going to fix the border. Did you see that crazy speech? And I'm going to fix the border because I was a prosecutor. You know who she prosecuted? Mostly her political opponents like me. But how am I doing? I'm doing pretty good, right? She actually had a terrible record as a prosecutor. And you know who she went after more than anybody? African Americans. They hate her. They hate her. And she destroyed San Francisco. But what she's done is a total disqualifier. She should be disqualified. She should resign the vice presidency and go home to California, which she is by, she's really destroyed it. But she should go home in disgrace.
He also said she can never be forgiven for erasing our border, and she must never be allowed to become president of the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is amazing what she's attempting to do on the border. Nobody believes it. No Democrat believes it.
No.
There's not one Democrat listening right now that believes that Kamala Harris wishes to be more tough on the border than Trump.
Well, no, again, I think some of them are actually. I think the far left is offended by that.
Yeah.
They're offended when Republicans do it. They're offended now that she's doing it. I really think that that's more and more their internals are showing that their liberal base is not happy with the lies. That some are forgiving, but their liberal base is screaming at them to own the issues. One of the things that we've seen in recent years is liberals saying we need more radical liberals that are running in these elections. And we need those that can coherently talk about the radical agenda and own it because we believe it's going to win elections for us. It happened after the night when Terry McAuliffe lost in Virginia. And they were talking, well, we need more radicals. We need someone who's even more radical to run. And that's why I think right now the radical base is looking at it going, no, you need to own it. You need to own the agenda. We believe if you're promoting that agenda, not promoting Trump's agenda on these issues and lying that you believe in Trump's agenda, we believe the way to win, we believe what you should do is be convincing people out there of our agenda. I firmly believe that the radicals in their party are on board with that. We're seeing some of that. There's evidence of that. I think right now the party itself is scrambling because you've got to motivate the base not to be such, not to get out of protester mode long enough to get to the polls. And you've got to energize the other part of the Democratic Party, the rank and file voters. You got to motivate them somehow to actually want to get to the polls. And the hatred for Trump isn't working for them anymore. There are some, but this is very different. This is not like it was in 2020 or maybe even in 2016, where people were motivated enough to get out and vote against Trump. They may not vote for Trump this time around, but a significant number of Americans, I'm convinced, are saying, yeah, I'm not going to vote for him, but I'm not getting out and voting against him, which would be a vote for Kamala Harris. I really believe that voter apathy is their greatest concern right now, and that's what their internals are showing.
Well, you saw whether it was Trafalgar or Atlas Intel or Rasmussen, and Atlas Intel and Trafalgar, the number 1 and number 2 pollsters of 2020, not looking good for states.
Yeah,
right now.
Right.
And we sensed a couple of days ago last week. It was early last week, I think, where we said, okay, the polls seem to be moving in Trump's direction. Still seems to be moving there right now. Again, that we're telling you, just we don't take polls. And, we live in a time. I was telling a buddy of mine the other day, I turned on the college football Saturday on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
It's a football game.
Yeah.
It's not the second coming.
Right.
I mean, we as a society just take moments and absolutely blow them out of proportion. And when I said, I can't watch this crap. I mean, they're just getting overexcited.
Yeah.
And I was seeing last week, even on some of the sports shows, it was Stephen A. Smith talking about the top football teams. And he was like, and number 5, here's number 5. Like, there's this thing where you have to take every single moment, encapsulate it in the bubble of today, and not just tell people this is it, but scream at them on something as meaningless as sports.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's starting to, you're seeing that all over the place. You'll see it on social media. This is a win and this is a slam dunk. Trump wins because of this. It's like, shut up. It's like when somebody, if they say it about Trump or Harris or whatever, but it's like some moment that's really insignificant. This is it. That's it. And there seems to be this thing, let's exaggerate everything. And the media does that with the polls.
Yeah.
They'll pick out one poll and they go,
Yeah.
Trump is down by 4.
Yeah.
And then we went through the Rasmussen daily polling when they come out with their polls, and you see wide swings in the polls.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Trump is up most days, but all of a sudden you'll see one day that they poll where Harris will be up by 4 or by 6. I think 6 was the most that she was up, like in the last couple of weeks. And the next day she's down by 4 or 5. And that's why you do an average of the polls like over a 3-day period.
Right. Yeah.
When they do it. But it's interesting to look at it. But there's a sense of if we irrationally scream and get so incredibly hyper excited over something that will help convince someone else that you're right. And I don't see it. It just makes me turn them off.
Yeah, right. You know, it's interesting in looking at the polls because you look at Pennsylvania, you know that something is going on in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
There's another what I would consider to be an outlier, the Bloomberg poll in Pennsylvania that has her up by 5. Again, I don't buy that. Margin of error on that one is 3. So I don't buy that at all. Look, it could be very close right now in Pennsylvania, but I think you see the momentum more and more if you bring these outliers out and just pare them down. You don't take away the entire 5 points, but on the RCP average, if you pair a couple of these outliers over the last month or so, and by the way, things have changed after the debate. You mentioned she didn't get a post-debate bump. There wasn't that. And keep in mind, the media just thought she had won it. And we went through that night, just hours after the debate ended. And we brought out all the things on the issues where Trump made solid points. You know, even the point of saying, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. And the liberal media wanted to put on the blinders, of course, just as the moderators did. They want to help her in any way that they can. But what you see then, what you wait for, what you look for after that is a post-debate bump, which she didn't get. And now you see this other momentum where, and I believe part of it's out of sight, out of mind. You know, you should be everywhere in the media if you're running for president. You should be, if you're a liberal running for president, it should be all day. It should be you start on early Today Show, which starts at 4 a.m. You go to the regular Today Show later today, and then later you're on all the news shows. You're on all the daytime talk shows. You're on the evening news. And then you end it with the late night talk shows. You should be on 24/7, and you should be crushing it. And she's running from it.
And I think that's noticeable when you talk about who looks, and people want a certain type of authority figure, which means you're very definite on your arguments that you're making.
Right.
And Trump is very confident in the points that he makes, that people know he has been consistent on. Not that he's been consistent on everything, but on the major things that people care about.
Right. Right.
And that would be the border. I mean, the border for him on credibility would have to be number one. That's why her attempting to do that. I know inflation is number one to the American public, and it may be a close second because most people say, well, I don't care about the details. It just was better under Trump.
Right, yeah.
You know, he'll get it done no matter. I just care that they got it done. You know, it's sort of like if you work at some place and you've had quite a few jobs in your life, and all of a sudden, you know, you're getting the job done, and the boss says, great job, and he tells somebody, he's doing a great job. Like how? I have no idea, but sales are up.
Yeah, right.
Don't know how he does it, but sales are up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I look at, I remember I worked for a radio station one time, and I'm going to throw out some figures that are just all hypothetical, but the station billed like $10 million a year, and there were 11 salespeople. One sales guy was selling $7 million.
Yeah,
of the 11 million.
Right.
Or excuse me, of the 10 million, 7 million, 70% of the radio. This is a true story. I'm making up the numbers. So
no, actually, I know a case like this, just like this. Yeah.
So
I worked with someone just like this. Yeah.
70% of the sales.
Yep.
So that means 7 million out of the 10 million in revenue came from one salesperson.
Yep.
Well, nobody bothered him. Just whatever. Just go do what you do. You know.
Right.
New management came in and said, everybody must fill out a timesheet as to exactly where you are at each and every moment of the day.
Yeah.
And it was like he filled it out, but there were a couple of blanks in there, like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. They got on his case and said, you must report where you have been every minute. He went to the station across the street and took all the accounts with him.
Yeah, sure. Right.
And
it's about results.
Right, because it doesn't matter how he did it.
It's about results.
He did. Nobody was accusing him of any criminal wrongdoing.
Right.
So nobody else cared before. New management came in and said, here's what we're going to do here. So they lost 70% of their billing. I mean, they didn't lose it. They kept, those accounts were still on, but they lost a significant portion of the billing because somebody else had to take over those same accounts.
Right. Yeah.
So they might have lost, 30% over that year period because of that decision.
Right.
Which was a stupid decision.
Yeah. Yeah. No, if someone's producing, you don't ask how, as long as you know it's legal.
But we'll take a look at the polls and show you a perspective problem that the Democrats have here in the certain states coming up following the top of the hour. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome, and thank you for being here this morning. Coming up following the top of the hour, we'll look at some of the polling here that is out from the pollsters that were number 1 and number 2 in accuracy for the 2020 election. I was reading some article, someone that was talking about the fact that, I don't know if it was about radio announcers or whatever, that when you should be giving the facts, like when you're doing polls, you should be breaking down, the problems with the polling as we've always done. That's why we give you an indication of,
right,
what polls were number 1. And
right.
We've always said being number 1 in 2020 is no indication that you'll be number 1 now.
No, I mean, it's changed completely. And I think we also have to include that, look, again, when you change the definition of words, when you want to control a certain narrative, it would be no surprise to see some of those pollsters change the weighting in their polls and really just decide we really don't care if we're ever close to being accurate. We just want to put numbers out there that make it look like one party's doing better than they are.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I've got to start paying attention to other things except what's going on in the world and the country.
Yeah?
Because I miss, I didn't even know the President's Cup, which is the USA versus the world in golf, was on until Sunday afternoon. I was flicking through. I'm like, oh, where's the tournament this week? Where are they playing? It's like the President's Cup. I had no idea. The other thing is, I had no idea. It's just a couple of miles from me was an attempt to break in the city of Mansfield, Texas, to break the world record, the Guinness record for number of drones in the sky to do those drone shows with fireworks attached to the drones.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's a little over 1,000 was the record, and they were going to break it, so I showed you a couple of the videos that I saw. I didn't even know that was going on a couple of miles from me. I had no idea it was going on until I woke up on Sunday morning, and it came up on YouTube in Shuffle.
Yeah,
what's this?
Right.
I will tell you this. It beats fireworks.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's awesome.
It's a pretty cool thing. I've seen drone shows at events that were very impressive. I mean, it's. I talked to one of the team, the drone team, as they were setting up early in the day. And we weren't sure if it was going to happen because of the weather.
Right.
And I said, man, that looks so complicated. He goes, no, actually, once you understand the programming of all of it, the most complicated thing is making all those little guys work. Making sure that everything, is powered and charged and, all that. So it's basically, that on a pretty massive scale, depending on how big the show is. And it was just amazing watching the end result. Because we were in an area that was, I mean, just wide open, flat land. And so there was this huge field that they were getting set up in. And then sundown hits, and all of a sudden they go to work. The noise, the buzzing from all the drones is pretty cool.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Killer bee nests.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
We're on the run after hearing this.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Somebody's taking over the neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
It was. Now, they say they last between 5 and 15 minutes. I think this was closer, I'm thinking, to about 15 minutes.
Yeah, the one I saw was certainly somewhere around there.
Because they had a lot of different things that I'm trying to find it here from the thing that I was looking at before that just had the one I showed you that was the silent footage, and I think that was about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it did amazing. The American flag, wrote stuff out.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they did it in a huge park. Okay, I'm looking at 11 minutes here, 11 minutes and 35 seconds.
Yeah.
Because they're up there, they're using a lot of power, and they've got lights in them, these incredible lights. And so it's like, you're using a ton of power with those, I'm sure they're lithium-ion batteries. It's like, wow.
Do you remember the, it was always classic rock music that they did it to, the laser shows?
Oh, yeah.
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 Come out to the Pink Floyd lasers. Yeah, it's not Pink Floyd. This is the first thing when they started promoting it. It's like, to be clear, this is not Pink Floyd performing live. It's lasers to the music of Pink Floyd. And I thought, oh, okay. Lights. To me, it wasn't that impressive. And I saw there was one town that did fireworks and a laser show combined for Christmas. And then the town did their big tree lighting ceremony at the end. And when they brought the laser thing out, I thought, no, just do the fireworks. Because by this time, we were well into the 2000s when they were doing it. And I was like, yeah, that old laser show thing.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that looks old.
Yeah, come on. Let's get into the 90s. No, I think.
Yeah.
Just so people know this, what they have thousands of drones, and they're all on a particular program, and they all act in case people don't know, they all act in unison. They're all controlled, so they're all sitting in a park. In fact, this whole park completely desolate. Nobody was allowed in it.
Yeah,
It's like
when they're setting up, you can't go out there.
Setting up or in the air.
Yeah.
They said, no, you've got to view this from far away.
Yep.
You can, go far away and view it. Nobody can view it in the park.
Right.
Because if they start falling, somebody's going to get killed.
Right.
These drones start and I'm sure if you've got a couple thousand up there, a few don't work.
That actually is a problem. And there was one of the guys told me about if I am trying to relay this accurately or correctly, it was if one goes out, they had a new program that allowed a substitute to fly in or something, if one of the drones went down, they could bring a substitute in.
So they've got some fly. It's dark out, so you can't see it. So they got some sitting over on the side.
Yeah.
Waiting to go.
And it flies up and it doesn't light until it's in formation. The replacement. So the old one goes out, and then one goes up dark, gets into place, and then lights up.
How don't they hit each other?
I don't know. They know exactly where to go. The coordinates are exact.
I had seen one in Vegas last year, and I watched it I go, okay, it wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw this one. I had no idea that drone shows were like that. Blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. I went, all right, here's where technology is definitely better than anything else we put into the sky. And by the way, if the public, and I'm sure they can, if individuals can get 10 drones or 50 drones and get the program and put it up into the air, there's going to be a lot of UFO sightings.
So one of my granddaughters had her Sweet 16 over the weekend, and the photographer that was there, it was actually a young man from her school. He's a really good photographer, apparently, and he had a drone. And so the group went outside for a minute, and he took in. I was wondering why they were going outside. They had just been on the dance floor, music was blaring, and they decided to go outside. And I was like, as a grandfather, this better not be a smoke break. And so, I go out there, and he's got a drone up in the air, and he's just taking some footage, trying to capture, whatever he can. But if you look at a scale like this at one of these drone shows, I think it's important because we were out in a very rural area at the event that I was at. And they had a massive flat field to operate in. And we had distance to put the show in perspective, to fully appreciate what they were doing. And you really kind of need that. I mean, if you go to YouTube or wherever and you watch some of these drone shows, you're getting that perspective because, they're capturing basically the entire show within the frame. And you kind of need that. You have to be back a little bit in order to see to fully appreciate what's going on.
Yeah.
They did, at the one I was at, they did birds flying, and it didn't look robotic. Like the laser show thing always looked robotic. They could do, what did they do at the Christmas one? They did Santa. It was the lasers formed, they would form like Santa, and then the toy soldier thing where he was walking, and and it was so robotic.
Mm-hmm. I know that. Yep.
And it was like, okay. And I thought, well, hopefully the kids, it's bright lights, it's Christmas time. The kids are probably enjoying it if they're not drunk. And then or maybe even more so if they are. But it's the whole idea of getting it in perspective to enjoy or to appreciate what they're trying to depict within, that setting. And it's pretty cool stuff. It really is.
I love it when they in this drone show where you just saw the masses, like you saw all these, you could see the lights of the drones all up there, and they were like, it was what do you call it? Flickering back and forth, and you're like, and all of a sudden they'd start moving. It's like, what are they going to form? And all of a sudden, a second later, they've got the whole formation. That means they're turning off some drones and putting on the others.
Right.
And it was like perfect. It was like a bird flying, and then this bird started flying, massive bird, and then all of a sudden smoke started coming out. And then at the end, they had actually fireworks, looked like huge sparklers or whatever, being jettisoned out of hundreds of these drones.
Yeah.
And it was like almost as if it was starting to fly off.
Right.
I mean, it was just, I've never seen anything like it. And that's what I thought. I went, if kids get a hold of this, technology, which they will, and they'll each have 10 drones or 100 drones, whatever, all together, there's going to be a lot of UFO sightings around the country, because I've seen one where they did a UFO, big, massive UFO.
Yeah.
Now, you could tell it was drones, but it was quite intimidating. It was huge.
Yeah, right.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. And if that's
Yeah.
what they have at that level, what do they have at the government level? Wow. Yeah. Forget Area 51. What's happening at Area 52? It's because I think about this, and also in the commercial end, the delivery, setting up the delivery thing with drones, and they're having trouble because of airspace.
Oh yeah,
not just airspace with flights, but airspace of what people want and don't want flying over their yards.
Oh yeah.
But the delivery part of it requires, in fact, what they've set up. It's like, okay, we can't drop it in your front yard because then the package is just sitting there in your front yard. Some people don't like it sitting on the porch, so they'll set up a delivery box for Amazon somewhere else or whatever, or deliveries only on certain days or whatever. With the drone thing, it would be dropped in your backyard. This is one of the plans. And one of the trial things they're actually doing right now. So they're dropping it in your backyard. Well, first of all, you're going to scare my dog. Number two, my dog's going to, probably wonder what the heck's going on. My dog doesn't get into things, but a lot of dogs would. But the idea of being able to have a drone that is powerful enough to carry a package. If you order a piece of furniture, it's probably not going to happen. But I mean, smaller packages that could be delivered. Now apply that to some of these drone shows of what they could carry or do, and what kind of display they could put on. They're already doing, as you mentioned, the sparklers and the smoke and everything else. So it could get very entertaining.
Well, one problem with dropping it in my backyard. A pool.
Yeah. Well, the drone would. They detect that. It recognizes what surface it's sitting on. It's going to set the package on. Yeah, so. Yeah.
I don't see how that's efficient if you've got a flight time of 15 minutes.
Yeah. No, there's another thing. You don't have remember the robots, the ground robots they were putting in neighborhoods?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's gone. They've abandoned that for obvious reasons.
Which is why I'm laughing.
And I think the drone thing is probably always going to be problematic.
Yes.
You're not, because let's imagine the technology were perfected, except it's not, because you don't have the simple airspace to accommodate all of them. And it's going to be that for quite some time.
I have a feeling my homeowners association would have a problem with.
Yeah, no, people don't want to hear that. They don't want it over their yards, because they do have cameras. They do have sensors telling them where to land, where not to land, to look out for, power lines, that kind of thing.
Let's look in the window and see if Gary's home.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, there he is. He's just hanging with the cat.
Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. At a roadside inspection, inspectors may ask to see supporting documents. A supporting document is a document generated or received by a motor carrier in the normal course of business that can be used by law enforcement to verify a driver's logs. These documents can include bills of lading, itineraries, schedules, or equivalent documents that indicate the origin and destination of each trip. They can also include dispatch or trip records, expense receipts related to on-duty/not driving periods, including receipts for meals, lodging, and fuel, electronic mobile communication transmitted through a fleet management system, and payroll records, settlement sheets, or equivalent documents that indicate payment to a driver. Drivers using paper logs must also keep toll receipts. Supporting documents must contain the driver's name, carrier-assigned identification number or vehicle unit number that can be linked to the driver, the date, the name of the nearest city, town, or village, and the time. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just looking at the Trafalgar group and how they, did the Pennsylvania poll. And I'm just reading it again. Conducted the 26th to the 29th, 1,090 respondents, likely 2024 general election voters. Response rate, 3.89%.
Wow.
Margin of error, 2.9%. Just interesting how they have it, because what you have, understand that Trafalgar was number 2 in accuracy of presidential polls in 2020.
Right, yeah.
And they have Trump up on Harris 48-45. Remember, margin of error is 2.9, up by 3. So,
yeah.
For Casey versus McCormick, Casey up by 1, well within the margin of error.
Right.
Then you have Atlas Intel on Pennsylvania. Atlas Intel was the number 1 pollster in 2020.
Right, yeah.
All right. Trump 51, Harris 48. Michigan, Harris 48, Trump 47, New York Times Siena poll. Michigan Atlas Intel poll. Again, the number 1 pollster. Trump 51, Harris 47 in Michigan. Wisconsin, Atlas Intel. Trump 50, Harris 48. Georgia, Atlas Intel. Trump 50, Harris 49. North Carolina, Atlas Intel. Harris 51, Trump 48. Harris plus 3. Ohio, New York Times Siena. Trump 50, Harris 44. Arizona, Trump versus Harris. Trump 50, Harris 49. So you go through so many of these, and again, looking at Pennsylvania or North Carolina for Rasmussen, they have Trump up by 3.
Yeah.
Where Trafalgar had him down.
Interesting.
So it's really interesting, but we'll talk more.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, yeah, I think that it'd be interesting that if Waltz doesn't do good after the debate yesterday, and the polls continue to, as we see each and every week, slightly move in Trump's direction. You saw, I forgot who it was in Minnesota. Not Minnesota, in Michigan, saying we may not, things are looking bad, that Harris is underwater.
Right.
Which means her election is too. I got mind blank here at the moment. But you're going to start seeing Democrats saying things. Why isn't she doing this? Why isn't she doing interviews? What's going on here? They all know it's wrong. Well, they all know people are looking at this and going, what in the world?
Think about this. Think about this scenario, because she could go anywhere in the liberal media, and they would cakewalk these things if these appearances became more routine. But she doesn't have that confidence. Imagine Trump saying, "No, I'm not going on Sean Hannity. No, I'm not going on with Laura." He'll go anywhere. But there's no way he wouldn't do a sit down. We've seen him do it. with his friendly media, and her friendly media is everywhere. You can't swing a cat without hitting him.
Yeah, but his friendly media Trumps will still ask him questions.
Yeah, they will. But he's not
of substance on the issue.
But he's not afraid of it.
It didn't say
that
was
is the
what
point.
What I'm saying is she is.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Why wouldn't she go? That's the whole point of what I'm saying.
She can't do it.
Because she doesn't have the confidence. Trump has the confidence to go anywhere. He's going places he doesn't need to go.
So the debate is tomorrow, the first and only presidential debate.
Mm-hmm.
Norah O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan. Well, that's another fair one. How JD Vance is preparing for the vice presidential debate. This from CBS, okay? The Ohio Republican has been preparing for the debate for more than a month. A source directly involved told CBS News, including a murder board, with murder board sessions with a small team that includes Vance's wife and his advisors, along with senior Trump advisor Jason Miller. Among Vance's main focuses during the preparation has been studying Walz's debate style and policy record, the source said. Doesn't take a big source to tell you that, does it? Noting that Vance will attempt to highlight what he sees as the Minnesota governor's left-wing views during the debate. Vance told reporters last week that his plan is to break down what the Trump-Vance administration would do to make life better and connect that to the policies. So we're studying up as much as we can on the issues that matter to the American people, and I'm looking forward to it. Majority Whip Tom Emmer, a Minnesota Republican, is standing in for Walz during Vance's debate prep. Four sources familiar with the preparations told CBS News Emmer and Walz have deep roots in Minnesota and are close in age. Emmer told ABC's This Week on Sunday that he's known Walz for decades and has spent that last month working to get his phrases down and his mannerisms.
I was gonna say you kind of have to, right? But you really need to. I mean, if you're gonna be in that position in prep mode, you got to do that in order to build the anticipation of what a response from Walz might be. But that gets back to Walz's sensibilities. You've got to know the guy, and I think it's an outstanding tactic to use to find somebody who knows the guy well, and so to basically pose as him in order to help JD Vance prep.
Walz has been preparing for the debate with a close team of advisors. A source familiar with preparations told CBS News. Some of the people involved also helped Vice President Harris take on Trump, among others.
Yeah.
For Walz, whose name recognition until recently was limited outside of Minnesota, the focus is on continuing to introduce him to the American people. According to the source, he'll also work to highlight Harris's vision from the nation's path forward. I would suggest that if your focus is to continue to introduce yourself, I wouldn't say that I was born in a middle-class family to lead off every debate.
Yeah, probably
every
not.
question.
Probably not.
You'll hear me talk like I have about things that impact Americans, making sure they have the opportunity to thrive, making sure that we're being factual in how we talk about that. He told Rachel Maddow earlier this month, I'm looking forward to it. I'll work hard. That's what I do. So,
yeah.
During debate prep, Buttigieg is standing in for Vance.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes. Pete Buttigieg is standing in for Vance.
Could you go any further in the opposite direction?
No, I
don't know who. I mean, I don't know who they would get. Pete Buttigieg. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't get it.
I mean, seriously, how bad is it that that's the best they could come up with?
Well,
Wow.
I don't think I said it last Monday, and we agreed on this. I think it's all over. I don't think anything is going to move Trump voters. I agree with you. The biggest problem Democrats have is apathy, people not showing up.
Yeah.
You see that 19-point swing from 2020 with Trump on Hispanics. That's big.
Yep.
How big it will be for blacks, we shall see.
Unions, you see,
Unions
in a big way. Union members, we should say. We do want to be clear. But the
private sector union members, you have to be clear on that too.
We do. We really need all the qualifiers there. But when you look at that and you break that down, right? All right, let's say some of these other pollsters are, I don't know, they're in the ballpark. There is a vast difference between responding to a pollster and actually getting out and voting. And again, with a lot of the toxicity gone from Trump, you're not going to have that motivator to get people to the polls. They may not go to vote for him, but they also may not go to vote against him, which means voting for her. The point being, staying at home is the Democratic Party's biggest fear. We know this was the case when Biden was in. We heard them talking about the down ballot. A number of Democrats were saying, we're concerned greatly about the down ballot, which is, by the way, was that biggest driver. That was a part of that huge driver to push him out from his party. They were greatly concerned about the down ballot effect. And so now that you see that, you see these numbers, it's, all right, where's the energy? What's motivating people to vote for her when there isn't so much energy driving people to vote against Trump? Because if you don't have that anti-Trump vote, that's what you saw in 2020. You saw that when it comes to Hillary. By the way, keep in mind the Democrats, she wasn't in 2016. Hillary wasn't their dream candidate. But they certainly wanted somebody to beat Trump. And by 2020, the whole Biden, I could have beat him in 2016, that came back around. And then, all right, the Trump hatred was in full effect. It's not there anymore. So why would they go vote as Democrat rank and file voters? Why would they? If they're not going to vote against Trump, they have to vote. They have to have a strong reason to go vote for her. And she's not giving them any. She's lying in her major positions to seem more like Trump. And her core is not even, they're not okay with that. They want her to own the liberal positions. They want her to own the agenda, and she's not doing that.
What I find amazing is it's not just the leadership, it's the rank and file. No Democrat will really talk about where they stand on the issues.
No, they won't.
Did you see Mark Cuban over the weekend? Getting
after Riley Gaines.
Oh,
yeah.
The Riley Gaines, him going back and forth.
Yeah.
Did he ever? He hadn't responded for a while after they were talking about illegal immigration because he was trying to make the point she would be better on the border, and then brought up the Democrats' plan before, which he then got pounded on, and then she said, "Forget about that. What about the hundreds of thousands that are criminals that have been let through, including 13,000 that committed homicide." And at that, for a long time he hadn't responded on it. I don't know if he did over the weekend or not, but I was following that for a while, and it was just, and then him and Elon Musk going back and forth.
Yeah, right.
And it was like Cuban's getting pounded. Look, he'll bring up an economic idea that he doesn't like, that we don't like, that Trump is doing, but that's not why I'm voting for Trump.
Right.
There are economic things I really agree with Trump. There are things I seriously disagree with him, but that doesn't matter this election cycle. It is about the weaponization of government. that we know is there. Someone should take on Mark Cuban on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Hillary Clinton thing was false. Never happened.
Right.
Never. Well, it happened, but it was a hoax. It happened. The censorship. Cuban doesn't seem to mind the censorship of what happened, during the 2020 election.
No,
doesn't seem to mind that.
No,
at all. The talk about the Supreme Court. Getting rid of the Supreme Court or packing the Supreme Court. So Congress basically, who's ever in power, controls the Supreme Court by just adding more judges when they get in power.
Right. Yep.
And and so those are the things he really can't. He'll pick and choose here or there. Then he started getting personal the other day, and he was called on that one for getting personal instead of sticking to the issues. I mean, you can't defend overall the issues of the Democrats. You can't.
Well, you can't, and you can't defend her because she's not defending her.
No, she's not. She's not defending her, and you can bring up now on critical race theory. Mark Cuban's going to be all in that because he never objected when the NBA, just went crazy and perpetuated the lie that police departments are systemically racist around the country to hunt down and kill blacks. Cuban never objected to that.
No.
I never heard Cuban speak out when LeBron James opened up his big mouth and started blaming police in Wisconsin, where they were later completely exonerated, and that helped fuel the fire of what we saw in Wisconsin.
Yeah, right.
So you want to sit there and start nitpicking. You think nitpicking economic issues you disagree with is going to make a difference in this election. Well, sir, you have no idea what the hell this election is about for the people that are voting for Trump.
Yeah, you don't. You really don't.
You really don't. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
Hey, Red Eye Radio, he's our Carly, I'm Gary McNamara. Just reading this headline. We'll get to the story a little bit. Idaho governor praises Boise State's decision to forfeit women's volleyball match against team with a male. Good God. I mean, it's just the insanity that we see. We'll play our audio cut of the day, which is not a great one, but it just shows you where Democrats stand, including people viewed as being mainstream Democrats. And great article that was written here in Spiked. The death of Hassan Nasrallah shows why this is a just war, and talks about the fact that the media really doesn't point out ever that all these terrorist groups and Iran want Israel annihilated, that they publicly stand for that. That's lost in the complete discussion.
Yeah, they want Israel gone.
Time. Yeah.
There's no two-state solution being promoted or talked about at all.
No.
And this insanity to believe that there is some kind of middle ground. It's not going to happen. There is no middle ground after October 7th of last year.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.